Is Bohrium the fastest disc golf driver there is? Well, the LØFT Disc Golf Company claims it to be, while also stating that it's the next generation in disc golf drivers. Now, if you didn't know, it was this company from Denmark that first kick-started the hydrogen putter, which they claimed as being the straightest disc golf putter ever made. In short, their claims actually turned out to be true, with some people absolutely loving its straight flight when thrown correctly, whereas others disliked it due to the lack of comfort in their hand. And overall, with their incredible talent to promote and advertise this disc, it was quite a success. But do their claims hold up for their new disc, the Bohrium? Well, in short, yes, but there's a lot more to it than that. So today on JustDisc, we're going to take a deep dive into the Bohrium so that you can make a more informed decision. So let's get into it. First and foremost, we have to thank the LØFT Disc Golf Company for sending us several copies of the Bohrium to test out and review. And considering they sent us several copies, be sure to stay tuned until the end to find out how you could win one. So let's quickly just break down the Bohrium and what it's supposed to do. The disc has a speed of 14, a glide of 6, a turn of -1, and a fade of 3. And doesn't this look familiar? It looks very similar to the other popular distance drivers, the Destroyer, the Zeus, the DD3, so you can kind of get an idea of what they're aiming for. Now, upon analyzing this disc, it looks, at least from afar, like any other 14 speed. Very thin, aerodynamic, a thin flight plate so that it can just fly as far as possible. But the biggest difference, the thing that's most distinguishable and that you're hearing everywhere, is this rounded rim. Now, the rounded rim is shallow like a lot of other 14 speed drivers, but this one feels especially shallow because of that rounded rim. Now, we're not going to get into too many details about it until later, but it is something we definitely want to discuss. As for the plastic, although they only provide one type, it's definitely a premium quality that a lot of people are going to love. It has some good flex to it, good grip to it, and just has a great premium feel. And honestly, it reminds us very much of the Castoplast K1 plastic, which is never a bad thing. Now, the LØFT Disc Golf Company describes the Bohrium as being mainly used for maximum distance when you're willing to sacrifice a bit of accuracy. And this is mainly due to its rounded rim, which reduces drag and allows the disc to fly faster and farther. But they also mention that the disc can be used for low ceiling shots, skip shots, as well as grenades and thumbers. Now, what's very different yet interesting about this review is that we were given 2 sets of Bohriums. So in other words, 2 different runs of Bohriums, which give us completely different experiences. And we're wondering if this had some kind of impact on the reviews, whether positive or negative, of this disc online. Either way, we're going to quickly talk about our first run, followed by the second run, which is the final run, and then we'll conclude. After testing the first run of Bohrium, we can honestly say that we were not impressed, and we were actually developing a little bit of a hate for this disc because we knew right away that 99% of players are not going to benefit from this disc because it was just too overstable. It was too difficult to get the true flight out of the disc. However, while testing the disc, we were fortunate enough to meet a young long bomber named Samuel, who really helped test out this disc to see if someone with more power could benefit. And luckily, he threw some great shots and he proved the capabilities of this disc. But he did struggle at being consistent, which is understandable considering it's a new disc. Now, what were his final impressions? Well, we'll get to that shortly. Now, with the second run they sent us, that's where things changed. This time around, the discs were a bit lighter, around 170 grams, which is a huge benefit for myself since at those faster speeds, that's kind of where I need the weight to be. And the discs were also a little bit more flexible. And if you didn't know, adding more flex to a disc makes them more understable. So right away after the first few throws, we could tell that now this disc will benefit more players. Not necessarily the beginners, but people with more power and maybe that intermediate level and above can now get some benefit from this disc. When thrown properly, it flies exactly as a max distance driver should. If the proper amount of power is applied and thrown flat, it'll fly straight, followed by some decent turn, followed by a good amount of fade. Like most discs with this flight rating, varied shots can be performed like hyzer flips, flex shots, hyzer bombs. It all depends on how you throw it. However, one thing is certain, this disc is meant for maximum distance at the sacrifice of accuracy because it definitely flies fast. We think it's the fastest disc we've ever seen thrown. And if we had to compare this disc to other discs on the market, in terms of stability, we feel we'd fit it somewhere in between the Wraith and the Destroyer, but in terms of speed, we can honestly say that it is truly the fastest disc golf disc on the market. You just have to see it for yourself. Now the big question still remains, will the Bohrium get you the most amount of distance? And based on our results throwing backhand and forehand with a varied amount of shots, we can honestly say that yes, it should get more distance than your long distance driver, but it may not be that consistent considering it's a 14 speed. And honestly, from all the testing, our Shrike and Wraith more often outdistance the Bohrium. And this could definitely be because of familiarity and comfort with these discs, but only time will tell. So yes, in the end, the disc flies far, the disc flies fast, and it does well at those low ceiling drives. And honestly, in my opinion, it feels very much like a Wraith, but a little bit faster. But there is one important thing that we wanted to discuss in more detail, and that's the rounded rim. The most talked about part of this disc is definitely its rounded rim. Its design is meant to reduce drag, which helps the disc fly faster and farther. And as much as this is true, not everybody is gonna like it, and not everybody is gonna get used to it over time. For us, this was our main complaint with the disc, even after using it on different occasions. The rounded rim feels like you get less surface area for your fingers to hold on to, which doesn't help with confidence, especially when it feels like your fingers are gonna slip off. And believe me, it definitely happened from time to time. And when we compared the grip to other 14 speeds like the Corvette, the difference was night and day. Now, LØFT did confirm that the rim depth is very similar to other 14 speeds, but we argue that the rounded rim is uncomfortable and hard to grip, and even with smallish hands, you feel like you get less surface for your fingers. And when we asked Samuel, our long bomber, his final thoughts on the disc, even though he could throw it as far as his Destroyer, he told us that he would not want to bag it due to how uncomfortable it was to throw. Now, LØFT states that the grip is comfortable and it's something you'll get used to, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. Hopefully, we'll see some professionals maximizing the potential of this disc. So in the end, is this something we're looking to bag? Honestly, not at the moment, or at least until we can try the disc in warmer conditions. But we will say that the more we throw it, the more interested we become. So hopefully after more people get their hands on this disc, maybe some professionals as well, we're gonna see the true potential of this disc. Alright, well that sums up today's video. If you liked it and want more disc golf content, you know exactly what to do. And if you want 2 chances at winning one of these Bohrium discs, make sure to subscribe to JustDisc, share this video with one person you know, and comment below by telling us what is your current go-to distance driver and why you love it. Lastly, if you're interested in more exclusive JustDisc content, join our Patreon for as low as $1 a month. Thanks as always for watching JustDisc, and we'll see you in the next one. Merci beaucoup et à bientôt.